elusive, constantly shaking, shaking. I'm addicted to the way that she lets me breathe. I'm holding her hands now. Where does she come from? Where does she run to? Where does she go? Where is her love? Where is her home? Be my lady, yeah. Ooh. If forever was forever, babe, babe, we would be together, baby, baby. If forever was forever, babe, yeah, 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 we would be together, baby. We had one night, one moment, one chance at love, but we had it for each other and we lost our touch. So we can't go no further, no. Stuck right in our tracks right there. So baby, can you believe that we fell off in the deep end? I'm addicted to the way that you feel me, to the way that you care. You're somewhere out there. Whoa. If forever was forever, babe, be together, baby, baby. If forever was forever, baby, yeah, 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 yeah. We would be together, be together. We found love, we found us, we found love, yeah. We need trust, we're giving up, babe. We found love, we found us, we found us. We need trust, we're giving up. If forever was forever, babe, babe, we would be together, baby. If forever was forever, baby, we would be together. If forever was forever, baby, yeah, 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 yeah. Together, 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 forever, forever, yeah. We'll reach for the stars, take it that far. Oh, baby, come back home. In the face of impossible odds, you can embrace and erase the facade.
mission and it's underway. I wasted time looking for another lane, for another game, then for somebody to blame. The difference between victory and sure defeat. To hold the power when the hero and the coward meet. To understand when to listen and how to speak. And always live inside the light when it's dark and bleak. One day it'll all pay off, and I'ma finally beat these odds. The cost was a heavy price, hard work, sacrifice. I can see it clearly now, as my feet lift from the ground. Through the storms and the longest night, I'm the fire burning bright. 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 I'm the fire burning bright.
What you know about me? What you know about me? What you heard about me? What you know about me? What you think you gon' see? What you know about me? What you know about me? What you know about me? What you heard about me? What you know about me? What you think you gon' see? What you know about me, huh? All these bitches do is talk shit. All these petty mamas that ain't got shit, they talk shit. No money, no cars, no bras, borrow money from their mama cause these niggas rather start shit. I don't need to be a bad bitch. I do some bad bitch with plastic and niggas get you mad quick. And I ain't scared to do the things your man said he wouldn't cause he couldn't. Better watch it cause your man slick. See how I know it's a hot trick. The definition of a thought sneak a mama on a plate quick. And you think they complacent wanna trust you. They say but we take it if I ask him if you wanna taste it. Get it all up in his tongue, sweetest water ever sprung. I'm the reason he's the fun, he's the reason you'll be done. Petty niggas be the best fucking fucking run. Get up for everyone. What you know about me? What you know about me? What you heard about me? What you know about me? What you think you gon' see? What you know about me? What you know about me? What you heard about me? What you know about me? What you think you gon' see? What you know about me, motherfucker?
If the work ain't scaling up, get your measure straight. Once your foot on the gas, you cannot hesitate. I know you can't tell the prime that I'm in. All about grind, design, and timing. If the work ain't scaling up, get your measure straight. Once your foot on the gas, you cannot hesitate. I know you can't tell the prime that I'm in. All about grind, design, and timing.
Smack rappers like that URL clips. While you sitting at home watching URL clips, I'ma double back at Hofford like that URL clip. Bet these rappers get ruffled every second I smell chips. Get green like a Celtic. Volcanic how I hit the booth and I melt shit. Stunting no evil Knievel. Blood of a king. So every bar spiritually regal. Take y'all to church, no cathedral. Pen poison tip like a needle. Paint you a pic with no easel. Rappers quick to mislead you. On game try to G you. Not for the weak or the feeble. Stomping is concrete, so it's easy to get my seeds through. Cause say I'm a lyrical contortionist. Killing these kids, here's the abortions list. With this mic in my hand, it's like I got a poker. Smile on my face, something like the Joker. Smack your chick in the face, she love it while I stroke her. And shit get cold like we in Nova Scotia. Certified, registered, yeah, my crew legit. Known for spitting fecal matter, every bar's the shit.
If the work ain't scaling up, get your measure straight. Once your foot on the gas, you cannot hesitate. I know you can't tell the prime that I'm in. All about grind, design, and timing. If the work ain't scaling up, get your message straight. Once your foot on the gas, you cannot hesitate. I know you can't tell the prime that I'm in. All about grind, design, and timing. I'm just trying to do my own thing. My phone rang, they told me my homie got hit in close range. It won't change. Plug with them people that flip cocaine and gold chains. Turn me to a king like the Gold James. Gas price high, self-esteem low. Past to getting high, keep it on the low. You got a bunch of friends, y'all chillin', y'all smoke. Won't share none of your songs, but I'll share that new code. Shout the code. Yeah, I know the world's cold. So cold. Yeah, we sticking to the code. To the code. Spent some digits on my clothes. Every other video I'm sipping on the rose. Foot up on the gas, always on the go. Made $1 million off a MacBook Pro. You could pick your poison, Trump or Joe. They devilish though. Either way, we got it for the low. For the low.
If the work ain't giving up, get your measure straight. Once your foot on the gas, you cannot hesitate. I know you can't tell the prime that I'm in. All by grind, design and timing. If the work ain't giving up, get your message straight. Once your foot on the gas, you cannot hesitate. I know you can't tell the prime that I'm in. All by grind, design and timing.
Go ahead and call me a coward, say that I'm not strong because I'm not like you. Go ahead and call me crazy cause I live in a maze. Tell me, how about you? I think I live in my head. Sometimes I think that I'm dead. I hide behind my youth. No, I've been losing my mind and I'm a little behind. Step aside my shoes cause I never been happy with myself. And I don't need no one feeling bad for me, trying to offer me pity and throw jabs at me. Wanna give me advice and then laugh at me behind closed doors. Just close the door and let me be by myself. Just me and myself. I'm tired of living, I cry. I hear it's easy to die, I wanna see for myself. And I know that sounds crazy to everyone else, but I'm depressed as fuck, stressed as fuck. Ain't no medicine that can cure what's intense as drugs I need extra love, and that ain't even enough. So that ain't even enough, and where the fuck is God? Damn, maybe I ain't believing enough, but today we gonna see if he's real. And if he is, then I guess I'm probably going to hell. Look, I ain't wanna die like this. I ain't picture my life like this. They don't know what it's like this. Pretending I'm happy so I can smile like this and laugh like you. Sometimes I wonder if I ever act like you. Could I finally fit in and maybe relax like, ooh? Or would you feel lost without me? Cause honestly, I think the world is better off without me and my mind spinning. This is the line finish. Truth is I don't care how they feel about my feelings. I made up my mind. I'm going out like Robin Williams. I guess I'm not the ordinary people of John Legend. And I've been suicidal since the day I was 9. Shit. Okay, the day I was 9, I've been tired of being bullied, couldn't stay out the fire. Grandma told me I should take it one day at a time, and damn it, look at me now. Fuck. Pen running out. Shit. Damn. Look, just know it's a new day, but if you're reading this, then it's probably too late. Just make sure you tell my family it's okay. I'm sorry, but it's too late. I'm sorry, so much waiting on me. I don't wanna live to see another day. I'm sorry, but I can't stay. I'm sorry, so much waiting on me. Just make sure you tell my family it's okay. I'm sorry, but it's too late. I'm sorry, so much waiting on me. I don't wanna live to see another day. I'm sorry, but I can't stay. I'm sorry, so much waiting on me. What you wanted, I hope you finally happy. It's too late for you. Been going out of my mind. You don't know how many times that I done prayed for you. I hope you hear me, goddammit, cause I got so much shit that I wanna say to you. I used to shine, now I'm all in the dark. I remember I used to tell you to follow your heart, but goddamn it, look at you now, it's all in your
worst snowfall in its history. A raging blizzard that came in on winds of up to 100 miles an hour, bringing death and destruction to the whole region.
What we believe is happening, Carl, is that the president is likely to invoke the Stafford Act here. That's a procedure that was initially started back in the 1970s to deal with national disasters, and it unlocks funding from the federal government for FEMA to respond in localities that have been hardest hit. In this case, the possibility is that you're looking at a national declaration.
Ordered the U.S. Army to go in and do whatever it could to help. A report from Providence
Centers on the state of emergency declared this morning in Buffalo. News Center's Mike Hickmon explains.
Troops from across Massachusetts were in places like this. They boarded about 24 buses, and then they left from near Springfield, Braintree, and here in Melrose.
Winds will increase to 50 miles per hour tonight and continue through Wednesday.
Hey there, General Red Revere here with Old Colony Pest Control. If you're having pest problems in a commercial or residential setting, we're the people to call. Veteran-owned, based in Massachusetts and Rhode Island, Old Colony has been here servicing your homes proudly, and we plan to keep it up. Our team is fast, efficient, and reliable. We go above and beyond to cater each project's individual need. No task is too much for us, so give us a call. 774-400-5993. Again, the number is 774-400-5993. Hope to hear from you soon. General Red Revere, out.
The worst snowfall in its history. A raging blizzard that came in on winds of up to 100 miles an hour, bringing death and destruction to the whole region.
What we believe is happening, Carl, is that the president is likely to invoke the Stafford Act here. That's a procedure that was initially started back in the 1970s to deal with national disasters, and it unlocks funding from the federal government for FEMA to respond in localities that have been hardest hit. In this case, the possibility is that you're looking at a national declaration.
Ordered the U.S. Army to go in and do whatever it could to help. A report from Providence.
Centers on the state of emergency declared this morning in Buffalo. News Center's Mike Hickmon explains.
Troops from across Massachusetts were in places like this. They boarded about 24 buses, and then they left from near Springfield, Braintree, and here in Melrose.
Winds will increase to 50 miles per hour tonight and continue through Wednesday.
Never talk about my kids or pull up to where I live. If you have issues, keep a tight lid, cause Pittsburgh. When you get inside and when I grind it, I can't deny it. Feels so exciting.
Is no result.
Brockton is proud to be the city of champions. With a rich sports history, Brockton is the hometown of boxing greats Rocky Marciano and marvelous Marvin Hagler. The city's athletic legacy continues with the success of Brockton High School sports teams. Known for athletic excellence and good sportsmanship, the BHS athletic program was selected as the #1 athletic program in Massachusetts by Sports Illustrated. The school's Brockton Boxers have been a longtime powerhouse in high school football. In fact, the BHS football program has been regarded as one of the most storied, successful, and dominant high school football programs of all time. The BHS boys soccer team recently won their first state championship in 2017, leading them to be ranked 7th on USA Today's list of top high school soccer teams across the country. These are just some of the many reasons why Brockton is the city of champions.
Another lesson from my neighborhood. Do you know how to tell if mom is overdosing on drugs? If your mom shoots dope every day like mine, you can only help her if you know the signs of an overdose.
An overdose?
Yes, an overdose. Don't call the ambulance if you're in doubt, unless she shakes uncontrollably or foams at the mouth. That's an overdose.
Okay, that's an overdose.
That's an overdose.
You could find her on the floor or find her in bed, and if you know what to do, she won't end up dead of an overdose.
Really?
Yes, an overdose.
Well, I don't know.
The signs of danger are simple to see. If she's twitching and seizing and can barely breathe, that's an overdose.
Yeah.
That's an overdose. That's an overdose. Mom always knows best.
The following conversation is real. It took place on Tuesday, June 8th of 2004 between a Blonde Star advisor and a subscriber.
Blonde Star emergency, this is Steve. Is there an emergency in your vehicle?
Oh my god. I've locked myself in my car and the keys are on the outside.
Ma'am,
oh my god.
Ma'am, I need you to calm down.
Okay, it's just that the windows are rolled up and I'm starting to sweat. My keys are on the outside.
Now, your keys are on the outside of the vehicle?
Yes, oh my god.
Now, does your car have automatic locks or...
Yes.
Okay, here's what I need you to do. Take hold of the inside of your door handle there. Are you doing this? The shiny thing. Grab the shiny thing.
Okay, I've got it.
Okay, now give that a tug.
Okay.
Did it open?
Yes, oh my god, thank you.
Okay, now what is that noise?
Oh, that's my door alarm.
Yeah, but that only happens if the keys are in the ignition, hon.
Oh my god. You know what?
Your keys are actually in your ignition.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh my god, thank you so much, Blonde Star.
That's why we're here. Do you need anything else?
Blonde Star. Always on, because you're always blonde.
Can you dig it? Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
This is blasphemy. This is madness. This is the proof.
All right, it's your boy Sinister One broadcasting live from the City of Champions. You are listening and watching The Booth. It is now, we are now August 16th. The year is flying by. My first guest is already here, and I'm going to introduce him in a second, but I give a big thank you to my guest last week, Sean. Sha-Elemental, I almost said his government name. Sha-Elemental from EXP. He came on the show with me last week. We talked about the state of professional wrestling, which is huge right now because of Vince McMahon having to step down from that lawsuit, Stephanie McMahon and Triple H taking over and making humongous changes to where they're bringing back people who were gone. Last week, Bray Wyatt is rumored to be coming back. They supposedly have worked out a deal to get Naomi and Sasha Banks back before the big WrestleMania run, which is coming up real soon. So it's WWE is something to watch. Tony Khan of AEW, he said he welcomes it because he remembers when you had WCW and WWE going against each other at the same time on the same night. It was the best for us younger people in the 90s. It was the best of professional wrestling. And we were real happy. But tonight, in the upper left-hand corner, you guys, probably when you hear this voice, you're going to know exactly who he is. This is one of the guys who is now on drafting the circuits with Frank Santarosky. I'm going to let him introduce himself, tell him who he is and what he's doing, what we're going to be doing on the show tonight. We're going to talk about when we get into the sports group. But I'm going to let my man introduce himself and go from there.
Well, first of all, thanks for having me on the show. Really appreciate it. It's good to branch out into a different audience this week. But yeah, my name's Richard Youden. I've been on Drafting the Circuit show now for a number of years, covering all forms of motorsport really, but my sort of speciality is European-based motorsports. And tonight we're going to discuss some electric vehicle and electric motorsport content later in the show, something that I've had some experience with and exposure to on different levels. And it's the up-and-coming subject for a lot of, sports enthusiasts and also, manufacturers in the electric vehicle world. So, yeah.
And I've got a lot of questions. Yeah, I got a lot of questions for this guy. If you're going to have questions in the chat when the topic comes up, because everybody knows me. Those who know me personally know I work in the transportation field. I've been involved with transportation, public transportation, since I graduated high school, since 1986. So I can already tell people that EVs are coming in public transportation industry. It's on the way. And automation is a whole nother topic. And I'm going to actually talk with Richard about automation in racing because there have been some testing of automated race cars. So we're gonna get into all of that when we get into this topic. But let me get into my sponsors right now. Michael Douglas Barreto, MDB Electronics. If I need a controller fixed and I got to get back to gaming, this is the guy who I sent my controller out to. 24 hours later, I'm back to gaming. Lifetime warranty available on your controllers. It's the best $24 you'll ever spend, unless you got a controller that's one of those upgraded controllers. It's a little bit more, but it's still well worth the value. Also, Veana Marie's music is everywhere online. The new album has come out. It's personal, streaming everywhere. Within 2 days, we were already at 1,000. We are coming up on the next step, which would be 2,000. So we're just going to make sure everybody streams, shares, likes, and does what they need to do. Ron Drago already put the topic: split hybrid electric turbo, the Scuderia Ferrari. Keep that in mind. We're going to get into all that stuff. Tactical target systems, my zombie targets there. T-shirts from I Love Boston Sports. I got to get my button gear because I do have 2 winners, and I got to get down there and get my stuff. Carl Bonnell, veteran owned. Old Colony Pest Control, 774-400-5993. If you got these little ants that are all over your house, it seems like every year, I don't know what it is. I don't know where you're at, Richard, but like last year, we had this big thing with fruit flies in our houses up here on the Northeast. This year, it's these little nasty, like sugar ants. And it's like, okay, so this year it's ants. What's it going to be next year? So it's insane. Now, where are you located right now?
We're in North Carolina.
I was just down there.
Yeah, NASCAR country. Heart of NASCAR country down here in North Carolina.
Yeah, I was just down there.
Yeah, my big issue is my big issue at the moment is ants in my yard. Ants in the grass. I'll spend ages mowing and getting it beautiful, and this big ant hill will pop up in the middle of it. But hey, bigger problems in the world.
Yeah, you got stuff like that. So let's get into the news booth real quick here. In the news booth, Veana Marie had a release party this past weekend. I got to thank everybody who came out and did what they needed to do. Ron Drago's in the chat. Tara's in the chat. Everybody who came out to her party, big applause. I got to thank my man, Leroy Irvin from Hot 96.9. Those guys from the Get Up crew, they really let Veana Marie shine on Monday morning. So big ups to him for coming out and hosting the event. And then again, Thursday night, Veana Marie and myself are performing at Prova Brockton live. You Be the Star karaoke from your boy Sinister One. I'm not really going to be DJing that night. You are the star. You're coming down. You're going to do karaoke, have a few drinks in the beer garden, loosen up, and let it go. Also in the news booth, big ups, big kudos to Georgia high school football players who rescued a trapped woman after a car crash at an intersection just outside the school. These 6 young men jumped into action, pulled her out of her car as it was starting to burn. So big ups to these kids. Also, big one here. Federal Trade Commission just dropped a $200,000 fine. Anybody who's been watching my Facebook page has been seeing my posts about the hypocrisy of some of these Trump supporters out there. There was a company out there called Lions Not Sheep clothing line, and they had these things that they had on their slogans, and I think Lauren Boebert was wearing some of their shirts and things of that stuff, and you go on their site and they were promoting Made in the USA. Well, guess what, people? The FTC got a tip, and they found out that this company was buying all of their shirts in China, and when the shirts came back here, they were cutting the tags off Made in China, and they were sewing in Made in the USA tags and then selling them as Made in the USA. Ton of profit. The FTC came down, $200,000 fine. So people, this is what I talk about when I say do your homework. Don't follow blindly. Do your homework and learn what's going on out there, because they sold a ton of clothing, this clothing line. And guess what? All behind a lie. And it's tough. I don't know. Did you want to comment on that one there?
I try. That's not like I don't have any skin in that game, so I stay out of that
one. See, and he did the right thing. See, I told him before we came on the air, I said, if you don't want to talk about something, let me know. Don't try to fake it, because my viewers are smart. and I got the live chat up here on the screen, and they will come at you. So we'll go in the legal booth. Aqib Talib's brother, Yaqub Salik Talib, is in custody after turning himself in for the murder of youth football coach Michael Hickmon after an argument with coaches and officiating crew. The reason why I'm talking about this story is because youth football season is starting. My kids play youth football. And the thing is that parents, there is an ugly day coming for youth sports. And I'm going to tell you what it is. It's the day where parents aren't going to be able to go watch their kids play sports. Why? Because of these issues here. People shooting coaches and people on the officiating crew, parents not knowing how to act. I DJ'd and called football games for youth sports last year, and I was completely disgusted at some of the games. I went to one away game last year, and the parents were selling adult Capri Suns, which was Ziploc bags with Hennessy or whatever, mixed drinks, and they're drinking on the sidelines, watching their kids play. And I'm saying, well, who's driving your kid home after the game? It is insane. So parents, bad parenting is an issue right now. And I can tell you right now, people, it's not going to matter that you sign a parent code of conduct. It's going to come to a point where they're going to say no parents are allowed at the games. And that's sad. I hate to say that. Now, Rich, do you have any children?
No. Just 2 cats. So they're pretty easy to look after.
But see, you don't own cats. Cats own you.
That's very true. That is very true. But yes, no, I fully get what you say there. I see it. Everybody sees it in society these days, and no matter where you're from or where you are, it's a scary sort of slope that we seem to be sliding down. And the concept of even my parents' generation, grandparents' generation, the concepts of responsibility and owning what you do it's being diluted massively at the moment. And it's a scary world.
Yeah, it's sad. It's scary. So, USA women's soccer team. This is a big story. USA women's soccer team wins a $24 million equal pay settlement. This now sets a precedent when talking women getting paid versus men. Now they're going to get $24 million settlement. And now they have to be equally paid what the men are paid. Now, I already seen a bunch of men who should just STFU out there saying, well, why should they get paid? They can still be beat by a 15U soccer. And I'm saying, these are the same guys who just need to just STFU. Women deserve to be paid equally in sports. This here sets the precedent for WNBA. It sets the precedent for the Women's Professional Football League that a lot of people don't even know exists, where Massachusetts has taken home the title 9 times. And I can tell you right now, the trickle-down effect of this in pro sports is going to trickle down, I'm telling you, into the workplace. You don't believe me? Keep an eye out. Within 5 to 6 years, this will be the precedent set for women to receive equal pay in the workplace. And I see Rich nodding his head here.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
on the sort of just sporting side of it, in Europe, the England women's soccer team, I'll call it football. I'll call it soccer. I'll behave. We've just won the European Championship, which is huge, for English women's soccer, and the TV, viewing figures were through the roof, and the final, which was held in London, which helped, had in the stadium we had 87,500 people, which is the highest ever attendance for a European Championship soccer game, men or women, and that's a huge thing. Huge thing. And just reading, I still follow the media back home, and seeing how the reaction to that and how it's growing, it's fantastic. And it's about time, really. These are professional athletes. They they train as hard, they go through, they're a damn sight better at soccer than I am, I'll tell you that much. But they deserve the respect, and unfortunately there is still this a very old-fashioned sort of mentality, and we need to get past that, and as you say, hopefully it'll start to trickle down into every every sort of workplace. And I know, having worked in the racing industry for 15 plus years, it's still a very, very male-dominated industry, but you're starting to see women come through in there, and some of their women naturally, I think, are far more logical and sort of lateral thinking than men, and certainly than I am anyway. And they're coming to the fore, especially in Formula One in Europe, on the strategy side of things. The number of chief strategy engineers now in these Formula One teams that are women, it's fantastic. It's almost parity. It's almost 50-50 now between the big teams. So I think it's fantastic. And even in IndyCar in the US, IndyCar's got a number of women engineers in there now. And where I work with the organization, we just our 2022 intern class has just gone back to college, and we had a couple of women working in there, and it's great to see. It's something I'm very passionate about in motorsport, because, as I say, their lateral thinking and their logical thinking far outweighs what a lot of men can do. I'll tell you that much.
Ron Drago in the chat says Red Bull female strategist. He says on there.
Yeah, see, I think Aston Martin have one. I think Red Bull have one. I think Aston Martin have one. Sauber or Alfa Romeo, as they are now, they have one. But yeah, there's a number of them, and it's fantastic. It's really good to see.
See, people, this is how it works on the booth. I tell everybody off air, don't talk or try to fake your answers. If you want to chime in on something you know about. Here we go. I bring up a topic. Bam! Richard just nailed. He comes in and he just rolled. See, look, and I applaud you with your answering that, because this is what I want when people come on this show. I want people to be able to talk about what they know about. So I could see it in your face that you are passionate about this topic, because you're experiencing it right now in racing, and you're on it. You know it. Ron Drago says Ferrari needs a woman real bad, a female. He's got bad in capital letters with 3 exclamation points.
They're struggling.
So we're gonna keep an eye on this, because, like I said, this is gonna set precedent in sports, but not just sports. I think the trickle down is coming. It's coming, and it's great to see that it's moving in the right direction. Getting into the entertainment booth, rest in peace, Anne Heche, who we all know was involved in this horrible car accident where she was burned badly. Unfortunately, they found narcotics in her system. But the sadder story today that has come out about Anne Heche is that this may have been a possible suicide. Anne Heche is in a family where I didn't even know this. Anne Heche's father was one of the first celebrities to get AIDS and passed away from AIDS. I didn't know this. And then Anne Heche also comes from a family of 5 kids where 4 of her siblings have died tragically, 2 of them to suicide. So Anne must have had a lot of things going on. My prayers and blessings go out to Anne Heche and her family, 53 years old. They had pulled her off the respirator, I think it was either Wednesday or Thursday, and then she passed away. So prayers go out to that family. It's just insane. Breakfast Clubs. Angela Yee will launch her own show after she leaves the Breakfast Club. She's announced that her new show is starting for the fall season. So she's walking away from the Breakfast Club. So they're going to be, I wonder if they're going to bring another woman in to fill her spot. They need to. They need the woman's voice on that show. But I'm curious to see. It's wide open. Women are wide open. Wendy Williams is gone. She's not coming back. There's a lot of field out there for her to take over. There's a lot of people leaving the talk show circuit this year. So she might be the next big one. She might be the next Oprah. So I'm going to keep my eyes out for that on Angela Yee. Getting into the sports booth, the Patriots-Panthers practice today. They're calling it a spirited workout. That's what we would call, from the New England Patriots website, that would be considered spin, people. Why? Because they had a humongous fight today where 3 players were ejected. And how do you get ejected from practice? It's practice. The rumor is that Mac Jones threw a touchdown pass to Tyquan Taylor, and Mac Jones went up to the guy that was covering Tyquan Taylor and made the comment about, "Guess who's holding my nuts now, bitch?" And that started the brawl in the end zone. And Mac Jones, I've seen him mic'd up. Mac Jones is a trash talker. Belichick, after today, I'm pretty sure is going to tell him, hey, you need to reel this in because you're going to get a taunting call if guys start complaining about you talking smack too much, and you don't want those taunting calls. So we'll see what happens. Also in Patriots news, running back James White retired, lifelong Patriot. Thank you for all of your services here, man. He, in all of his career of the NFL, he never fumbled, which is amazing. Over 180 touches, and he's never fumbled the football in his career. And Fernando Tatis, suspended 80 games, PED violation. He claims he used tolosterone for his ringworm. The problem here is that as a player, you're supposed to know what chemicals you're putting on your body or on your skin, and you're supposed to be checking the ingredients against that MLB. It's bad. So,
I mean, I just want I'm not a baseball expert by any stretch of the imagination, but these guys don't have many responsibilities in the world. They're incredibly lucky to be doing what they're doing, and to check ingredients in medication. They've got enough minders and enough, followers that, I mean, they can't go to the bathroom without somebody knowing. So if they're taking any sort of medication, then somebody's got to know. And you see it all the time. Oh, I didn't know what was in it. Well, you can count your responsibilities on one hand. So.
And you have a whole team doctor that you could ask. You have a team doctor that you could ask.
Yep.
At the same time.
Hate that excuse with a passion.
It's insane. It's insane. I just can't understand it. Brian Joseph Miller says Malcolm Butler is gone for the year. Yes, they actually lost 2 of their cornerbacks, so it's early. They can sign somebody and get somebody in here at cornerback. I'm not too worried about this. And then this is a great clip. I got a great clip for you guys. This is Jackson State University. Deion Sanders. If I have to tell you who Deion Sanders is, I'm going to have to slap you upside your head. But here's my thing. Deion Sanders was at SWAC Media Day 2 weeks ago, and I've been so busy. I wanted to share this, but I didn't get to share this clip. But Jackson State University is an HBCU college. And they asked Deion Sanders about playing Power 5 Alabama, which is a powerhouse. And, a lot of people talk about Deion as a coach. I've been really excited to see Deion as a coach, but I can tell you from this clip that you guys are about to see here, I'm going to watch every Jackson State University game this year, if I can, off of this comment alone. And here it is for you guys right now. This is Deion Sanders and his comment on playing Alabama.
Could he potentially play in Jackson State? What does that mean to you?
He's not going to play us right now. We're not ready for that. No, not what's, and we're not into sacrificing our kids to get a check. He got to give me another year. I got to get beef up in the front. The difference of Power 5s and HBCUs right now are those big guys in the middle. It's not the quarterbacks, it's not the receivers, the DBs of the skill position, but those big dogs in the middle. We got to beef up that to be able to compete with something like that.
Damn, you got to love that from a head coach. What he said right there is why I want to watch every game. He said, we're not going to put the safety of our kids out there for a check. In other words, everybody wants to see Alabama match up against JSU. But guess what? We ain't ready for that. He's being honest. We ain't ready for that. We're too small in the middle. It's not going to happen. Is it going to happen? Probably, but not until we're ready to match up with them and not make an embarrassment. This right here is why I'm going to watch every game this year, because he's putting the safety of his kids and his players in his school first. He knows what he's building down there in Jackson State University. He knows that he's about to change all of college football with what he's doing down there in Jackson State. So his moves are very calculated, and he's thinking about the players first. And I love that. I love that about Coach Deion Sanders, and I've got to applaud that. So I thought that was great stuff. Now, we are at 7:23. Let's get into this first conversation. EVs in NASCAR, EVs in Formula One, EVs in racing overall. Like I said, I've been involved in transportation. I read stories, I get clips, and I look into stories and see what's going on. And I had a discussion with a friend of mine about EVs coming into professional sports of racing, automobile racing. And he says, oh, you're not going to see that for 15, 20 years. I'm like, you're out of your mind, bro. I'm like, you're going to see that within the next 3 to 5. And he was like, never. They're not ready for it. I'm like, okay, well, I can just tell you right now, the advances in EVs is insane. So I could tell people right now, first of all, the difference that I noticed with an EV vehicle on a bus, a public transportation bus. We tested a bus. The first bus that came through, the first EV we had, it had a power engine. It had an electric engine, traction motor. It was one big traction motor, and then the output went off to the wheels. And it was a good bus. It still was a good bus. We now got I think it's like the 4th generation of bus we're testing right now. What they have learned now is that we don't need a big traction motor. We only need to contain the wheels to the motors. So now each wheel has its independent motor. The first thing I noticed from this bus was the 0 to 60 right off the pedal. When you have a gas-powered vehicle with an engine, transmission, rear end, you've got all these things that are shifting and engaging, and guess what happens, people? You lose time. You lose seconds. All that shifting and stuff, seconds lost. And people say, well, no, you got your 0 to 60. It doesn't matter. It's still seconds lost for that power to transfer to get to the wheels. EVs, you're getting straight power right to the wheels. And now that they've moved these motors right to the wheels, guess what? You're getting torque right to the wheels. So right now, NASCAR is already talking about introducing EVs in the 2023 upcoming NASCAR season. They've already rumored Mustang is one of the cars that they're going to have for EVs. Also in Formula E, Jaguar and Castrol has unveiled an EV that you see in this picture here, does 0 to 60 in 2.8 seconds. Ron Drago says parasitic loss. Yep, exactly. So this is why I have Richard on this show, because he's got a lot of experience. He's been following this. And I got to ask you, your thoughts. EV racing, do you think it's 15 to 20 years off, or do you think it's 3 to 5?
Well, I wanted to sort of split it a little bit and just comment a little bit on the more commercial side, because I spent three 3 or 4 years with Volvo trucks here in North Carolina, developing the electric Veana, the fully electric Class 8 truck that is now, Volvo is the first manufacturer in the US to offer this as a commercial product. And you're right. You've seen it in the bus industry. It's a growing industry and it's growing rapidly. The advantages far outweigh the disadvantages. And people people will pick a hole in any argument, and you'll see the whole argument of range being a big tool. Oh, you don't get the full range. These Volvo trucks, roughly fully loaded at 80,000 pounds, you get about 150-mile range. Now that covers 80% of the North American Class 8 market. The 80% of trucks in the US will drive less than 150 miles a day and return to the same depot that they left from in the morning. They can be plugged in and they'll charge overnight. So the practicality of it is already there. It's not like you're going on a road trip to the beach or something. These things, they do pretty standard routes. Buses are the same thing. They'll do a very short, repeatable route every day. So it's a prime industry. I think the commercial sector is more suitable for EVs than actually the Teslas and the Prius and the Nissan Leaf and cars like that. I still don't think we're quite there from a consumer standpoint, but for commercial, I think we've already got a big sector of the market checked off. So very exciting area. And just from a nice environment area, we were doing a lot of work in Long Beach over in California, because that dock there, the smog and the pollution is horrible when you're over there. And these EVs, yes, I know everybody says, well, the electricity is created somewhere else, and if you look at the efficiency of electrical transmission compared to the efficiency of transporting gas and diesel all over the world, do the numbers, do the research. EVs are less of an impact on the environment in the whole lifestyle cycle of the product. It takes its time, but it does get there. So I'm a big proponent of those. I just wish I could afford one myself.
Well, they're coming. They're
coming. They're getting there, for sure.
My job purchased 2 of the Hyundai Ioniqs.
Yep.
And those were super nice. And now Hyundai has taken home almost every award this year. Every consumer award this year they've taken home for that vehicle. It's insane. So I tell people, pay attention.
Yeah, you'll see that as these manufacturers suddenly, because the technology is so developing so rapidly, you'll see that. You'll see suddenly one year, Chevy comes up with a great product because they've worked something out, and they'll suddenly become the EV to have. And then Honda will suddenly come out, and Toyota will suddenly come out, and all of these different manufacturers will suddenly hit this new innovation, and you'll start to see this rapid growth in the development of the platform, which is great. But going back to your original question, the original topic for conversation in motorsport, well, I was fortunate enough almost 10 years ago now to be involved in the development of the very first Formula E battery with Williams Advanced Engineering. Now, Williams Advanced Engineering are the commercial side of the Williams Formula One team, who I was working for at the time, and I got sort of seconded over there for 6 months to help on this project. And it's amazing what they've achieved. I think they've just completed their 6th season of Formula E. I know they're going on to the 3rd generation car next year. So they've had 2 generations of cars already. The first few years they were struggling a little bit because the drivers had to swap cars mid-race because they weren't getting the range from the battery systems.
Right.
And of course the people that are anti-EV would look at that and point at it and make fun of it. And yeah, we get it. But you got to start somewhere. You got to learn. You've got to grow this, and they certainly have. And you look, there's more manufacturers involved in Formula E than there are manufacturers involved in Formula One and NASCAR and IndyCar. There's a lot of these, commercial partners for these Formula E teams, because it's the future of their platform. They can't sell an EV in the NASCAR world. They can't sell an EV really in the Formula One world, because it's saying, oh, look, go and buy an EV. Well, hang on, you've got these big V8s, checking out doing like 5 miles to the gallon next to you, but you're trying to sell me an EV. It's not going to work. So Formula E is a very, very important platform for them. and that's growing. You're seeing more and more teams involved in that, and more industries, and more exposure to Formula E. And I hope it grows. There is still some detractors to it, and I get it. It's not as when you're there watching them, you don't get that same sensation. If you go to a NASCAR race or an IndyCar race or a Formula One race, it's an assault on your senses.
Right.
You can hear these things. I mean, you can, if you're close, you can feel it in your chest. Literally the reverberation of these V8 engines or the hybrid turbo engines that you have in Formula One. You can feel it in your body. You don't get that with Formula E. You can sit there and have a conversation to the person sat next to you while there's a Formula E. London, they had a Formula E race in London a couple of weeks ago, and half the track was indoors. And it's pretty cool, really. You can have an indoor motor race.
Right.
And they have DJs there. They have, they're still trying to make it work, and I don't think it's really found its level yet.
Right.
But it's got to grow, and the FAA are heavily backing it. A couple of times it's almost gone out of business. Because it's just hemorrhaging money because it hasn't really getting that return yet. But as more and more companies are involved in it, you're going to see, it be successful, I'm sure. And another great example of how versatile, the EV concept is. These very first Formula E batteries that I was lucky enough to work on, when they went to the Gen 2 Formula E car, they were using a different battery manufactured by a different company. I said, well, what do we do with these old batteries? So they, instead of putting them in a landfill, which everybody thinks you do with EV batteries, no, they reuse them. And there's actually another series out there called Extreme E, which is like an off-road racing, and it goes to, I think there's 5 races on 5 continents in different climates. So they have a desert race, they have a forest race, they have an Arctic race, something along those lines. And it's really cool. You've got 2 drivers, male and female driver, sort of racing, sort of heats against each other on a knockout level. You've got guys like Lewis Hamilton's involved. He's got his own team. Nico Rosberg's got his own team. There's an energy drink company in the UK has a team. Andretti Autosport has a team. McLaren are getting involved in it. So some really big names getting involved in Extreme E, and that's a really, really good series. And hopefully that's going to get exposure as well. So where are we?
Ron Drago says Extreme E is awesome, and he does have a question for you. He wants to know. He says F1 power plant specs drop today, 2026. Yep. His question is, F1 is sticking with the power plant in 2026. Do you think that will be the last IC power plant in F1?
Oh, good question. Really, really good question. I think that where the direction Formula One's going, and obviously this has been announced for 2026 regulations, so that's probably taking you through to 2030 on the regulations, because each engine regulation has 4 to 6 years of development. I genuinely don't think it's the end. I think that we're always going to have that. And I think where we're going to start developing, what you may see Formula One go to, is more of the fuel cell style EV rather than necessarily the battery-based EV. My personal opinion is
so like the hydrogen?
Yes, hydrogen fuel cell cars. Yeah, I think from a commercial standpoint, it makes a lot more sense to have a hydrogen fuel cell vehicle than it does a battery vehicle, because you can refuel it easily. Again, the big knock on your EV is, say I want to go to the beach. Well, that's 4 hours away. Okay, I can get 3 hours in my EV, so I've got to stop, and then I've got to stop for half an hour now, to charge it, and then carry out. So the fuel cell. So it wouldn't surprise me if Formula One doesn't go down the fuel cell route, because again, that will be a tool, and all any motorsport is an advertising for the brand, and Red Bull. What are Red Bull doing in Formula One? They make soft drinks that mix pretty well with some alcoholic drinks as well. But that's all they do. They're a drinks manufacturer. They make, they make sickly sweet drinks. But it's an advertising tool for them. The reason they came into Formula One is they didn't have any exposure in Asia. and they wanted exposure in Asia, and they got it through Formula One. It was a vehicle for them to get out there. So that's all it is. So if you can utilize a technology to help develop that technology and develop your brand, then that's the way it's going to work, I think. So it wouldn't surprise me if the manufacturers don't see the fuel cell as the future for them and push Formula One down that road. I mean, it's faster. Who knows? Who knows? But it's going to be amazing, and it's really, really interesting to see what happens in the next, next few years once we get through 2016 and the new regulations there, which I think are good changes. They've got rid of some of the components which were very, very expensive to make and really certainly didn't add anything to the spectacle. They were putting all of this money and all this technology into sucking heat out the turbo to generate energy. Well, it's very little energy you're going to be creating that way. And nobody's going to know. You or I watching a race is not going to know where the regenerative energy is coming from. Is it coming from the regenerative braking? Is it coming from heat regeneration at the turbo? Nobody knows. So get rid of that. That's gone. Good. Focus on making some of your regenerative braking systems more efficient and improving that. So I think these 2026 regulations are great. And, EVs, hybrids, they all cover the, to my mind, they're all under the same blanket, and, reducing carbon emissions from these vehicles. It's great to see.
Braun Drago said the same thing with Monster Energy. Yes, I remember when Monster Energy drinks, all these energy drinks, they really couldn't get sponsorship in the NFL and all that. And then the extreme sports stuff started with the skateboarding and the bike racing and stuff like that. The Travis Pastranas and all these guys started getting all these deals from Monster Energy and Red Bull and stuff because they linked into that extreme market, and it blew up from there. It was and then all of a sudden now the NFL and everybody wants to get involved with these, but they're now staying loyal to the extreme sports because that sports drink fits these extreme sports like the racings and the motorcycle racings, the monster trucks and all that stuff. The energy drink just really doesn't fit in the niche of Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, because we've been kind of programmed that these energy drinks are connected to the extreme sports. Yeah. And it was great that they latched onto it because I don't think they could ever go back. I don't think they could ever leave. I think they're stuck in that niche. I think they've got that market in a stranglehold.
Yeah. Yeah, ironically, though, you can go to the other end of the spectrum. I don't know if he still is, but for a long period of time, Tiger Woods had a Monster Energy sponsor. I can tell you now, playing golf, Monster Energy is the last thing you want to drink when you're playing golf. You're twitching all over the place.
Braun Drago says Monster Jam is about 100% funded by Monster Energy Drink, paying for all the trucks, parts, and salaries. What I love the most about Monster Jam, Monster Truck, which I didn't know, is that whatever city or town that Monster Jam goes to, they go and reach out to all the Votech schools, and they put the kids who are studying mechanics and bring them to the pits for that event. And I think that I came from Votech. That's how my career in transportation started. I went to Southeastern Regional Votech. I finished with a diesel theory degree. And the fact that they come in and they take these kids and put them around monster trucks and let them work in the pits side by side with pit mechanics is insane. I've said this for years because I've been a fan of NASCAR since I was little. I was growing up in the projects, a little black kid who liked NASCAR. And at that time, people like, you're crazy. It's a bunch of redneck hillbillies and they don't like you watching this. But I loved it. I had a shop teacher who turned me on to the Utah Salt Lake races on Wide World of Sports. And from then on, I went from the Salt Lake races to watching stock car, and that was just bang 'em up, cigarette ads all day. But it went into NASCAR, and I grew to love the sport. And years ago, and they're doing it, NASCAR's doing it now, but my thing of NASCAR years ago was if they wanted to, viewership or bring people in because it was down, I always felt like NASCAR should have reached out to the inner city communities and brought kids in from the schools, just like they're doing now with Monster Jam. Go out, reach out to these kids and bring the kids from the inner cities into NASCAR and let them see it and then get that exposure. They're finally doing that now. I applaud NASCAR. NASCAR is doing it now. They're reaching out to the inner cities. They're bringing a whole slew of kids in from all over. to check out
And
that product, and what they're doing is insane.
Yeah, 2023, they've got the street race in Chicago, which is going to be, a fantastic spectacle. I've always said this, as I mentioned earlier, assault on your senses, to have, a NASCAR race on the streets of Chicago, put one on the banks of the Hudson in Newark, with the Manhattan skyline in the background, make it a night race, that would blow people's mind, but unfortunately, it's about the bravery. NASCAR for so long has had this very repeatable audience. They haven't really had to go out of their way to attract new fans. They've sold out every race. Why would they need to? Now you're not selling out races. Now at some of the venues, you're taking seats away because you can't get enough people in. But interestingly enough, they were in St. Louis a few weeks ago, and they were adding seats to the circuit in St. Louis because it's starting to regain that popularity. And again, I think that's one of the big things. Some of these tracks like Pocono, for example, it's in the middle of nowhere. You're not going to get 100,000 people in Pocono. You get 100,000 people in downtown Chicago. And
like I said, I want to stay on the EVs and not really get political on this, but I applauded NASCAR. Why? Because let's be honest here. During COVID and when Bubba Wallace hit the scene, NASCAR took a huge, huge risk. They alienated 90% of their fan base when they banned the Confederate flag. And I told people that moment should be considered sports history. That right up there is huge because I felt that by banning that flag, it let people know. And I've had this discussion with black people who say, "Oh, I don't care. It's not that big of it." It is a big of a deal because they just pretty much gave a professional FU to 90% of their base, their fan base. And they're seeing that because a lot of those ignorant people turned their backs on the sport because of what they did. And I applaud NASCAR for coming out and taking that humongous risk. And for me, I feel like I hope karma pays off, and I hope that people with an open mind come to enjoy the sport like I have for years as a black person. I tell friends of mine all the time of color, I'm like, dude, you don't know what you're missing. My son raced at the kart level for years, and then he got to be 6'2", 200 and something pounds, and he couldn't fit the kart.
Still ideal. But the EV is getting the same reaction. You see when NASCAR it was never an official announcement. I don't think it's more of a internal memo that sort of leaked to some of the news outlets, and probably it was one of these things that was leaked deliberately to see what the reaction was.
Right.
You see some of the social media because everybody has a comment now with social media, but it was quite eye-opening to see a lot of the fans' reactions, and a lot of it was negative from we don't want EVs, but that's the future, and NASCAR for a long time, as I say, had this very repeatable, reliable fan base, and through evolution and time, that fan base is dwindling. Family, you cannot afford now to take a father with 3 kids to a race. You're dropping $1,000 in a heartbeat. In reality, if you want to do that and do the full thing, get the tickets, the food, the souvenir, all that sort of crap, you can't afford it in reality. So they've got to look at new ways of attracting, a younger fan base and getting the kids more involved and wanting to do it. And as you said, really sort of grow this concept of technology. Kids are interested in technology these days, and there's huge potential in there. But having worked in the industry for 4 or 5 years, it is still a very certain aspects of it are very 20 years out of date in terms of technology. Now they've improved things with the next gen car which they're running this season, and the next gen chassis which every team has to run has been designed to accept a hybrid engine. Now, that's not to say it's going to happen next year, the year after, but these chassis, which are designed to last probably 5 to 10 years in terms of their design, they have the ability to accept a hybrid engine. You look at the manufacturers, the Chevy, the Toyota, the Ford. what percentage of the cars that they sell now are hybrid or EV? Hybrid especially, it's a pretty big market now. So they're looking for a platform to sell. The old saying in NASCAR is win on Sunday, sell on Monday. And if you can go there and sell, it still works. If you can go there and be successful and prove to people that these hybrid vehicles, because I think you'll start with hybrid. I don't think you're going to see a purely EV platform for a while.
NASCAR will go?
I think they'll go hybrid because, as I say, from my understanding, they already have the opportunity to do that with the existing chassis. And there's rumours that, and again, I'm not privy to any inside information. This is just rumours that everybody else is, will hear on social media. That the Xfinity series, which is like the second rung on the NASCAR ladder, they're looking for an overhaul of the Xfinity chassis. And there's every possibility that may go to an SUV hybrid style vehicle. They still run, they don't have they're not fuel injection cars on the Xfinity series. They're 30-year-old engine designs that have been sat there and just keep being reproduced year after year. Archaic designs. They don't have an ECU of any sort. They don't have any electronics on these cars. It's all very, very, very simplistic. And they're probably looking for an overhaul of that series. And it's a perfect platform to try out something like a hybrid series. And get a bit of feedback for it, get a feel for it. As I say, with a hybrid system, especially because you're not limited to the race distance then if you're running hybrid. Now, where the technical challenge I think comes in is one of the big benefits of a hybrid system or an EV system is you have the ability to, through braking, to regenerate energy. You can pump energy back into your batteries under braking,
like our buses. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. And the trucks, for example, you could drive one of these electric trucks without ever touching the brake, because the regenerative energy in the regenerative system was enough to stop the vehicle. So it's an amazing thing to drive. You could just sit there and just play with the throttle and never have to touch the brake pedal. But in NASCAR, obviously oval racing, you don't brake, or very, very little. So where is your opportunity to get this regenerative energy from? So now, obviously NASCAR is going more and more down the road course route now. I think the Cup Series this year has 6 or 7 road courses, which would all be very, very suitable for a hybrid system. And Xfinity has always tended to have more road courses than Cup. So there's certainly an opportunity to run there, but you could never run a Daytona or a Talladega or a Michigan with a hybrid system, because you'd drain it and then you'd never get anything back.
Right.
So there's ways of, they're going to have to manage it and be smart about it. But, they'll get there. NASCAR are smarter than people give them credit for a lot of the time. And they'll come up with a solution and they'll make it work. Because I'm telling you now, the the manufacturers, I say at the moment, the Ford, Toyota, Chevy, and hopefully there's been long rumored that Dodge wants to return and potentially even attract other manufacturers into the sport. You're going to have to sell it to them. And they can't sell V8s anymore. You saw it this week, I think. Dodge announced the last
Charger and Hellcat.
The last ICE version of those cars. So how can they couldn't make a Cup car based around a Charger because they're not selling them anymore. So it's as Chevy start to go to EV with the Camaro, you're going to see the same thing. Ford with the Fusion, Toyota with the Camry. It's all going that way, and NASCAR will have to react, because the concept of stock cars, clues in the name. It's a stock car. It's supposed to. I mean, we all know it doesn't, but it's supposed to resemble what you go and buy on a Monday because you saw it win on a Sunday.
Right. And I'm going to put you in the CEO seat here. We got about 10 minutes left to show. So with this rumor that's out there about next year, NASCAR running a race with all EV Mustangs, which would be similar to the IROC, International Race of Champions, which was a race that, they used to be very popular. Everybody drove this IROC Camaro car, and it was, this was where it came from. If you were the CEO of NASCAR and you had to put this race together next year, featuring all Mustangs, first of all, how do you make it competitive for the race teams because with an EV motor, there's really not much you can do for tweaks. And so how do you make this competitive for teams? What do you do to make this sexy?
Well, you can give teams like discharge and recharge strategies. How they go about regenerating the energy in the braking system. For example, if you lift your foot off the gas, do you regenerate energy then? At what rate do you regenerate the energy? I mean, you can stop. We could make a Class 8 truck. We could make the rear axles come off the ground without touching the brake pedal. We could regenerate that much energy. Now, obviously, that was bobtail without a trailer, but we could make so there's a huge amount of energy can be regenerated. Now, as an engineer and a strategist, is that the most efficient way to do this, or do I ease off on that and allow less regeneration, but then less aggressive braking, so my driver can manipulate the brakes and manipulate the dynamics of the car a little bit more. So I think the scope there is huge. And if I was doing this, probably what will happen is, if this does happen, is that NASCAR will contract a company, probably not one of the manufacturers, for parity's reasons. Because there's lots of these little companies, these EV companies out there now that are doing this, contracting one of these companies to build 10 of these cars. You've got to be very careful from a marketing standpoint, because who do you get to drive it? If you pull up and you brand it as a Mustang, well, you're not going to get Kyle Busch driving it. You're not going to get Chase Elliott driving it, because they're contracted to Toyota and Chevy. So you've got to be a little bit careful how you do this. And, throw it on at the streets of Chicago, because that's the prime example for it. I know in Michigan, the Michigan's track is quite away from downtown Detroit, but there's IndyCar are going down into the streets of Detroit next year. That would be a great place to run it. And IndyCar are going to hybrid engines, I think, for 2024. So they're changing their mentality as well. So you've really got to reach the people with this. I think it's not a case of having this out in the middle of nowhere. You've got to take NASCAR to the people with this concept, and I think it'll work. I think there's huge potential for it.
Why do you think they chose? Like we said, it's a rumor right now. But why do you think the rumor leaked was the Mustang, when the Mustang was the most hated EV of the last 2 years? The Mustang purists hated the fact that they released this EV SUV and then slapped the Mustang badge on it. The hate was real.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But I think from the other two manufacturers, they don't really have a performance EV right now that I can think. I'm not my fingers aren't on the pulse with commercial vehicles as much as they are on racing, but I know for certain Toyota don't make a performance. The Supra or the GR86 are still ICE based, and I don't think that there's an EV version of the Camaro out there yet. So probably in the work, or the any of their other high performance vehicles. So
BMW does have some performance. BMW has two, right?
Yeah, they do. They've got the i8, and I think there's another one out there as well. And yeah, there are other. I mean, you look at some of these smaller EV manufacturers whose name escapes me right now. Revion, I think, is one of them.
Rivian. Their plant is right next door to my job. Right next to my Rivian. Yes. Their plant is right next to my facility. The trucks are so weird looking.
Yeah. Oh. So there's these companies. Yeah, these companies are there. I just think that the Mustang is probably the one that's they've jumped in, that they've sort of dipped their foot in the water, and you'll see it. It'll start to happen more and more. And now I think it's going to be interesting to see how they go about it. But they've got to do it, because otherwise the manufacturers, if you're not selling any of these cars, then how can you have a race series based around a car you don't sell?
Now, what about the idea you were talking about how, you're not going to get Kyle Busch or all these guys to drive these Mustangs because they're contracted to teams? What if you made this race up-and-coming races who are trying to find spots on teams?
Well, again, that's difficult, because it's like so many of these sports now. I mean, these Toyota, Chevy, Ford have these young driver development programs, and they're picking up kids at like 14, 15. I mean, you've got kids out there. Oh, yeah, you've got kids out there racing. Yeah. For these manufacturers, and they can't drive a car on the road legally. They're too young, So
look,
it is difficult. Now, what you then
my son,
you could look
who's
at
here, my son's here right now in the back of me. My son was racing F1 here at the track. He was doing so well that we were approached because they wanted my son to go to a local track and start driving the S10 trucks, the Chevy S10. And at that time, I think my son was only 11. And I was like, yeah, no, that's not happening. And they were like, dude, your kid's got a lot of talent. But I shut that right down. And sometimes do I sit back and regret it as a parent? I kind of do, you know?
Yeah. But I think a series that I think would be a great platform for this is there's the and I can't remember the name of it. It's like the Master SRX, I think it is, like the Masters. Frank could kill me on drafting the circuits right now for not remembering the name of this series. But you've got a lot of these like retired racers who, Bill Elliott's in there, Ryan Newman's in there, who I used to work with. There's a couple of other these racers who are sort of semi-retired and not working, driving top line. Now that'd be a perfect platform for something like this because
like
these guys
get Waltrip behind it.
Those sort of guys.
That'd be great.
Yeah. Exactly. Get those sort of guys in there, and that'd be a great platform for it because they're not contracted to any manufacturer anymore. They're past that now, and get them out there. That would be a really good platform for them, I think.
We got about 2 minutes left, and we do have a question for you.
Okay.
Will we see an American F1 driver next year?
Oh, if there is, it's going to be Logan Sargent coming through Formula 2 with the Williams team. Williams have a vacancy next year, pretty certain, because I think Nicholas Latifi is probably going to be out. Logan Sargent's on the Williams Young Development Program, and he's doing okay in Formula 2. I don't think he's really setting the world on fire. And I don't think he's really, unfortunately, going to be a success in Formula 1. There's obviously been a lot of talk about guys like Colton Herta coming over from IndyCar. I know he's tested for McLaren, but the kid's fast. The kid's incredibly fast. But he's 10th in the IndyCar in the IndyCar Championship right now. Finishing 10th in the IndyCar Championship does not get you a Formula 1 drive. The kid makes too many mistakes, unfortunately. And, he's only 21, he's young, but when you look at guys in Formula 1 now, they're 18, 19, are not making mistakes. There's a big difference there. So I think Logan Sargent may make Formula 1 next year. I hope he does. Will he be a success? Jury's out on that one a little bit for now.
All right. Well, we got about 1 minute to go. Richard, please, I'm going to let you tell them how to watch Drafting the Circuits instead of me telling them every week like I always mention on this show.
Again, Frank's going to kill me for not knowing this, but I think it's on most podcast networks. I think there's even a YouTube channel up there now, and it gets distributed through Hoopazoo Radio Network. And we love the show. We really enjoy it. And please come and listen.
How can people follow you? Are you on Twitter and Instagram? Because I know some people who are watching this.
I do. I must admit, I'm not particularly active on there, but if you follow Drafting the Circuits, you can get through to us that way for sure.
Luis is I love following Luis. He's out there. He's getting it done. So follow quick, Luis, guys, let me just love that.
Follow Luis.
Let me give you guys. We got those are my sponsors and people who bought my beanies, my hats. Also, the shows that I'm involved with producing or created: She Talks Football Podcast, Happy Hour with Lido, Maddie sees Sports for You and Me, Talk Back with Gloria Shea, also creator of Drafting the Circuits, and also co-producer of Oscar Mike Radio. Also, Brockton's Farmer Market, July 8th to October 28th, every Friday. Veggies, and more veggies down at the Brockton's Farmers Market. Head on down there. If you're a SNAP or EBT recipient, you can go down there and visit our food vendors. Also, my big thing is that if you're elderly and you live in one of these BHA properties, there is a free drop-off and pickup. So if you're elderly and you live in Brockton Housing Authority property, Dial-A-Bat will send the Dial-A-Bat van to your house. They will bring you to the farmer's market. You can use your SNAP EBT Social Security benefits to get your veggies, and then the Dial-A-Bat bus will bring you back. So I got to mention that over and over again because I think that's huge for some of these elderly people who live in these properties who are just stuck at home because a lot of them can't drive anymore. So that's huge. Also, the culinary art program, it started in July, and I think it's full. But if you wanted to contact and see if there is any openings, jump on right there. Also, Veana Marie's promotional tour. We just had the listening party We got Prova. Prova's coming up on Thursday night in Brockton here. The 27th is the back to school pop-up, and then Saturday she will be at the 8th evolution of hip hop, and we will be holding it down. And I can't wait. I'm just ecstatic for this one for Thursday night. So again, Richard, I want to thank you for coming on the show with us tonight. And
could he potentially play Jackson State? What does that mean to you?
He's not gonna play us.
I don't want to say that. I don't want to see him again. I accidentally hit the alternate S button. But again, Richard, I want to thank you for coming on the show with us tonight, hanging out with us. It was a good time, and I'll have to get you on again. The guys all liked it. Everybody in the chat liked you talking about the EVs. And the only other thing I can mention here is everybody make sure to buy and purchase Veana Marie's new project. It's personal. It's out there. It's available. Everybody's doing their thing with it. And I'll definitely get you on again, Richard. And it's good stuff. SpongeBob, hey, do me a favor. Take us home.
Well, see you next Tuesday.
Thank you for listening to The Booth on Hoobazoo and HatcherRadio.com. Please follow the Facebook page and subscribe to the podcast at Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. The Booth is a Sinister One production hosted by Sinister One.
I've got to start hanging out with friends that are a little more intelligent and understand politics and stuff. It's just that I'm up on this level up here, and all my friends are down here. Me, nah. You guys, nah. Maybe a little more down in here. Screw you guys, I'm going home.
I smoke, I drink, I do my thing. These bitches hating, so you know I got to make it plain. Don't do cocaine with your chick, my main. We stick together, true forever, yeah, you know we bang. I miss those days, which was easy. If only I made it, this don't repeat. Now that I done upgraded, I've been upstate, and y'all think I'm playing. And I got a hit now for these weak ass hoes who think I ain't slaying. Try me, and I'll probably end up laughing, cause I never back down. I'm that chick with a clean ass whip, I don't need that shit, it's like I'm my own now. I get hurt, I get tired of fussing, fighting, guess I gotta crack down. Don't mess with me, cause on everything, I'ma have to bring the whole city out.
WHOOBAZOO, that's Hoobazoo.com. Enter website.